What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Landry Hat podcast powered by FanSided. I am your host, Zach. You can listen to the Landry Hat wherever you get your podcasts, and if you're watching this here on YouTube, please make sure you like this video, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode this Cowboys season. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, please make sure you add this to your library so you don't miss an episode, a Cowboys episode this season. For today, it's just me. For people watching here on YouTube, you know it's just me. Foots is not here on the screen. No Foots this week's episode. I talked to him about maybe him doing a solo episode this week because it's 7 a.m. here in North Carolina. I'm headed out to Vegas for the Monday Night Football game against the Raiders. Foots had work this morning, so we couldn't get it lined up. It's just me today. But we're still here. We're still here talking Cowboys football this week on the Landry Hat podcast. Thank you guys so much for being here. And I feel like this is always the weirdest part of the season because of the bye week landing right in the middle of the year. And there's always two ways that this could go. Number one, your team stinks. The fans are down and out. They're ready for draft talk. The season's over, right? I feel like we were kind of at that after the Cardinals game. Number two, your team is awesome, and you're just waiting for the playoffs to get here to see how far you're going to go. Can we win a playoff game? All of that. And I really lied about there only being two because the Cowboys are number 3. People were down and out after that loss to the Cardinals. It was over for this team. Fire up the draft videos. Who are we getting with those 2 first-round picks? And then, boom, Logan Wilson to Dallas, Quinnen Williams to Dallas, and they pull us right back in. Not to mention, DeMarvion Overshown is set to return along with Savon Ravel, and it feels like a completely different vibe around this team. I think there's a lot more hope than there was after that Cardinals game. We saw it. The Cardinals last week got decimated by the Seattle Seahawks, and Dallas lost to that team pretty convincingly. The Cardinals beat up on Dallas, controlled the entire game with Jacoby Brissett. Then the Cardinals play the week after. They play Seattle, and they're down like 38-0. I think it was 38-0 at one point. I should have checked that score. It didn't give us a ton of hope. And we all know what the problem has been for Dallas this season. It's been the defense. It was the problem against the Cardinals. I know the offense couldn't get going. They weren't scoring points, but the Cardinals were also controlling the football, controlling the pace of play, keeping it out of Dak's hands, keeping it out of Ceedee's hands. I thought the Cardinals defense did some good things against the Cowboys offense. They have hit a little bit of a lull. They're not at the peak that we saw against the Panthers and the Packers and stuff like that, but it's been the defense. And before we get into the Raiders game and what this game in Las Vegas means for Dallas, if they have any hope of making the playoffs, I wanted to talk about where I'm at with this team. Where do they go from here? I am cautiously optimistic because, one, it's a new look defense. It's going to look better. I will guarantee you it will look better. The real question is how much better. And we're going to talk about what it could look like for the Raiders game. Like, what can we expect from this defense moving forward? I expect it to be better because they got better at spots that they've struggled with this year, at linebacker, at defensive tackle, at corner, hopefully when Revel gets back. Putting Logan Wilson into the lineup, although he is not a top-tier cream of the crop linebacker and at the position, he still makes you better because then Shamar James doesn't have to be on the field. Kenneth Murray maybe doesn't have to be on the field. Then you add in Overshown, who's just an athletic freak coming off an ACL injury, but still an athletic freak. You take Shamar James and Kenneth Murray off the field and you put in Logan Wilson and Overshown towards the back half of the year. I expect the defense to be better simply because of that. That's without mentioning Quinnen Williams on the interior. Mozzie Smith's not going to be there. Jay Toia, they're going to do some different things. They might go with some 5-man fronts with Quinnen Williams and Osa Odigizua and Kenny Clark, and Osa might get some reps on the outside. Like, there's some different things now that they're going to probably do with Quinnen Williams, but now they have a game wrecker on the interior. And then another reason I'm cautiously optimistic is the offense is still good. They've been slightly down, but they're still extremely, extremely talented. You have Dak Prescott. Javonte Williams has been playing so well this year. Ceedee Lamb, George Pickens. Your offensive line has how many first rounders on it. Tyler Booker, Tyler Smith, Tyler Guyton, Cooper Beebe has been getting healthier throughout the weeks, coming off a bye week. Hopefully is even more healthy going forward. So I am cautiously optimistic. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that Dallas is going to make the playoffs, that are 100% going to make the playoffs, and this defense is saved because you have 4 guys coming back. I don't think that's the case, and that's what we're going to figure out in this Raiders game. Overshown and Ravel in particular are not going to go out there and get 50 to 60 reps in this game. Overshown might get 5 to 10. He's going to be active. Maybe he can get towards that 15 mark. They're going to slowly work him back in. He hasn't had any football contact. He hasn't had to take on offensive lineman blocks at the second level, chase down running backs, make hits, change of direction, cover in space. Those things are difficult to do when you're coming back from a catastrophic knee injury that saw your ACL, MCL, and PCL all need surgery. So I'm cautiously optimistic for the rest of the season because we don't know. Like, you cannot bet on these guys. We did that coming into the year where we said, okay, if Donovan Wilson can have a good year, or Kiter Elam can step up, or this guy can play well, Kenneth Murray, I know he hasn't been good for any other NFL team, but for us, he might be really good. We did that coming into the year, and it turned into one of the NFL's worst defenses, one of the worst defenses in NFL history. So to say, Ravel, oh, he's gonna be our starting corner. He's gonna play phenomenal. He's gonna be an All-Pro, Pro Bowler. He's gonna look like that first-round corner that we thought Dallas got because he had a knee injury in the 3rd round. Or Quinnen Williams is just gonna completely change this defense and be that wrecking ball in the interior, and he's gonna start getting sacks, although he hasn't done it this year. I'm not being negative. I'm explaining why I'm cautiously optimistic. I have hope, especially for 2026 and 2027, like moving forward, just based on what we've seen in 2025 so far. I'm not sure that those moves right there are enough to fix it. So let's get into talking about this Cowboys versus Raiders game on Monday Night Football. The Cowboys sit at 3-5-1. The Raiders at 2-7. Monday Night Football in Las Vegas, a ton of fun. Like I said, I'm going to be there. If some of you guys are going to be out there watching the game, let me know down below in the comments. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, head over to YouTube, type it down in the comments. I would love to see how many Cowboys fans are going. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of Cowboys fans out there for this game. The big storylines coming into this one, we just went over it with Quinnen Williams, Logan Wilson. I expect both of those guys to make an impact, but also play a ton of snaps in this one. They've been healthy this year. Quinnen Williams played a ton for the Jets. Logan Wilson has been kind of on the bench for the Bengals, but he's in football shape. He should be ready. He went through camp. He's been practicing, all of those things. And then the guys we've been waiting for in DeMarvion Overshown, Savon Ravel, I expect them both to play. How much of the rotation? Honestly, Overshown, I probably expect to play more. Revel, they're going to really work him in. Like, he might get 3 to 5 snaps. Maybe. Like, you don't just throw a 3rd-round corner out there and say, okay, you're going to play 20 snaps. I know you're coming off an ACL. I know you didn't get to finish your junior year at ECU. You haven't seen any NFL live action. We're just going to throw you out there and you're going to have to play 25 or 30 snaps. I don't see a world where that happens. For these two, make a play. If Revel is out there for 5 and the ball gets tossed outside and Revel's got to come down and make a play, I want to see that. Overshown, just moving sideline to sideline, looking healthy, not looking like he's coming off a really, really bad knee injury. He just needs to be fluid in his movements, be able to change direction for us to have some hope. And oddly enough, I don't think that this game really, really matters for having great linebacker play or great corner play because the Raiders' offense is really, really bad. Like, we're going to get into the numbers. They are terrible. But before we do, I want you guys to comment down below on a scale from 1 to 10. Having those 4 guys, how much does it change this defense? Let me set the stage for how you guys can grade this down below in the comments. Let's say that the Dallas defense is at a 1. They've been bad, right? They're at a 1. They're like 29th, 30th, 31st, 32nd, every single metric. They're at a 1. 10 is like a Super Bowl defense. Let's go win this thing defense. We got the 2015 Broncos or the 2000 Ravens or whatever it is. I think my number is 5. If all of those guys actually play well and play up to their potential, like Revel and Overshown are just top notch, and then Logan Wilson looks re-energized, and Williams is killing people on the interior, I would say a peak of 7. I think it will look better. It's just to what degree will it look better? So if you guys could head down there, comment your answers, leave me some numbers. How much better does this look? So let's talk about this Raiders game, and like we always do, I want to start with the Cowboys offense versus the Raiders defense. The Cowboys offense is averaging 378.4 yards per game, while the Raiders are allowing 320.8 yards per game. So this is a good matchup for the Cowboys offense versus the Raiders defense. Dallas has done a good job this year of Dak playing on schedule and in rhythm, but also being good outside the pocket. Dak's been a really good all the way around. He would be an MVP candidate if this team wasn't so bad. Dallas leans on on heavy motion and attacking teams in the middle and deep parts of the field. They're at their best when they're spreading the field out, using Pickens and Lamb and Ferguson, getting the ball out quick. The run game has been really, really, really good at times with Javonte Williams. He's been more so I don't want to say he's not made explosive plays, but he's just been a death by a million paper cuts, and we just haven't got to see that a whole lot when Dallas gets down and they get into these obvious passing situations. This team is at its best when they can play and marry the run game with the pass game, like Ryan Schottenheimer said when he first got hired. It just doesn't feel like they've been able to do that against teams because they're getting down in these games, and they're having to just drop back, and that's what got them in trouble against the Cardinals. We saw that first drive against Arizona. It looked really, really good, and then once Arizona gets a 10-point lead or a 17-point lead, you have to get into these obvious drop back situations, and that's not what you want to do against this Raiders defense. While they're not great all the way around, they do have Max Crosby. Their defense revolves around what Crosby can do. He is their identity. Everything they do is a reaction to what 98 does. Patrick Graham, the defensive coordinator for the Raiders, he's going to heavy disguise pre-snap. He's going to use simulated pressures. They're going to have those two high shells rotating late after the snap. A lot of people creeping up to the line of scrimmage, and Crosby is going to be moving around. They're going to test this Cowboys offensive line because if they've had one weakness this year, it's been in pass protection, especially Terrence Steele on the right side. They're going to put Crosby over there. They're going to put Crosby up. Maybe they might line him up over the center if you get in these obvious third and long situations, or line him up over Tyler Guyton. Let him test the second-year player.
Underdog is the perfect place to get in on all of the NFL action. And playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like receptions, touchdowns, passing yards, and more. Nail every entry and you can win up to 5,000 times your pick. The Cowboys will return to action in a terrific bounce-back opportunity against the Raiders this week, and this game should feature plenty of points. So I am looking at George Pickens for higher than 24.5 receiving yards for his longest reception. I'm also looking at running back Javonte Williams for higher than 0.5 touchdowns. That is rushing or receiving. So all Williams has to do is find the end zone for that entry to hit, and he has scored a touchdown in 6 of 9 games this season. On the Raider side, you know where I'm going. I'm looking at tight end Brock Bowers, the best tight end in the NFL, for higher than 70.5 receiving yards. The Cowboys haven't been able to cover anybody this season, so I'm looking at Brock Bowers to have a big, big day. So to recap, I'm looking at George Pickens for higher than 24.5 yards for his longest reception, Javonte Williams higher than 0.5 touchdowns, and Brock Bowers for higher than 70.5 receiving yards. A $10 entry will pay out $45. Download the app today. Sign up with promo code Landry to score $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code Landry. Underdog, make picks, win money. You must be 18 years or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 or older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms dfs.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
If I were the Raiders, I would be simulating pressure. Tyler Booker, the Cowboys rookie guard, has been good this year. He's been a little late on stunts and stuff, or late blitzers, not being able to pick those up, not being able to be fast enough to get over to those lanes. They're going to try some different things to confuse you up front, and that's what you have to do to stop the Cowboys offense. You have to confuse them. You have to make them think because they're so talented on the outside. If Dak can just drop back, feel really good with what he has in the front of the pocket, step up, make throws to Pickens and Lamb, and he has all the time in the world, they will pick you apart. The Raiders are much more of a bend but don't break defense that's going to try to heat you up on third down and get after the quarterback and get you off the field. They're not a great defense. Dallas has to take advantage of these Raiders linebackers in the intermediate parts of the field. I think they can be picked on from 10 to 20 yards. If you can, make this a big Ferguson and Lamb game. Those guys over the middle, preferably Lamb. I'm not saying throw the ball to Ferguson 8 to 10 times or 10 to 12 times. You still got to get Pickens involved and Lamb involved. I think there's money to be made on the interior of this Raiders defense. And Dak needs to play in rhythm, run the ball well, control the pace of play. We cannot be getting into these games that they have. You can't let the Raiders go up 10 or 14 or 17. And with the guys on the defensive side of the ball that we've talked about, it's not guaranteed that the defense is going to be great. Schottenheimer has to adjust. You have to know your team, know that your defense isn't good, and come up with a game plan that if you do get behind 2 scores, what are you going to do? Don't be surprised when you get punched in the mouth and you can't run the football and you don't have any what would you call it in boxing? Oh, no. You don't have any, course correction. Let's say that you go out and you're down 14-0 and it's in the second quarter. You don't have to just start dropping back, but you got to be aware of the time and what your defense is doing and what your offense is doing and really balance both sides of that. It's not easy to do, but it needs to be done with a team like this. You got to know your team. Don't let Max Crosby ruin this game. The Cowboys' offensive line has been good, but not great. Dak has been really, really good getting outside the pocket, stepping up, moving, making throws on the run. He's helped that offensive line out a ton this year, not taking sacks. I wish I can't find it, but I was looking up his sack or his pressure to sack conversion rate. It's probably really low. The offensive line is giving up more pressures, and Dak is able to evade them. He's really helped their offensive line this year. And really, run the ball well. Run it early and often. Don't put this all on your passing attack. If Brian Schottenheimer, if Dallas gets the ball first in this game, you have to make sure you come away with points. You can't have 3 passes, 3 incompletions, or bang your head into a wall running the football. Come up with some stuff that helps you run the football. It can be done against this Raiders front. They're not great. Outside of Max Crosby, keep yourself ahead of the chains, ahead of schedule, playing from 2nd and 4 or 3rd and 1 rather than playing from 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 9 and getting yourself in trouble that way. I think there's money to be made on the ground against the Raiders because the offensive line has been a better run-blocking team. Javonte Williams can wear on a team over a game. Keep your defense off the field, even with Quinnen Williams, even with Logan Wilson and DeMarvion Overshown and Savon Ravel and whoever you put out there. Keep the defense off the field. I don't want to figure out if they can get stops. I want the offense to score a bunch of points, play ball control football, and then you can win the game. Neutralize Max Crosby, get the ball out quick, do all of that stuff. For the Raiders on offense, they obviously drafted Ashton Jeanty with the 5th or 6th overall pick. We were talking about the Cowboys getting Ashton Jeanty at 12? Yeah, 12, because that's where he took Tyler Booker. Taking a running back with a top 10 pick when you need so many other things. They got Geno Smith this year. They have Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer. Brock Bowers we're going to talk about him in just a minute. But they took a running back, and their offense has just been abysmal. Geno Smith hasn't been good. They haven't been able to really run the football because their offensive line can't hold up to that. The Raiders currently rank 30th in the NFL in yards per game, 28th in yards per play, 30th in touchdowns scored. Their EPA is at the bottom of the league at 30 as well on offense. This has not been a good offensive team. And usually when we say that, we say, okay, Dallas, the defense, they're probably going to get some stops. The offense is going to score at a really high rate, and the next thing you know, that the Raiders are going to get into passing situations. They're going to have to start throwing the ball in 3rd and long. We're going to be able to get off the field, and this game might get away from Las Vegas in favor of Dallas. Usually we would say that. But when you look at the Cowboys defense, they're at the bottom of the league in every metric as well. The Raiders might be averaging 4.8 yards per play on offense, but Dallas might be giving up 6.5 yards per play. I don't know if that's an actual stat. It's more likely that the Dallas defense is worse than the Raiders offense because they have Ashton Jeanty, because they're getting bullied up front. And I know adding Quinnen Williams, adding Logan Wilson, hopefully that makes it better. But until it shows us that it makes it better, I have to go with your offense is going to have to put up a ton of points. If Dallas puts Quinnen Williams out there and Logan Wilson and let's say Overshown moves in and Ravel as well, and they can't stop the Raiders, and offense has been abysmal all year long, it's not gonna be good. Okay, it's just not. They've scored 20 points this year. They've scored 9, 24. They gave up 41 to the Commanders. They scored 6 against the Colts. They scored 0 against the Chiefs. 7 against the Broncos and a 7-10 loss. They scored 29 the week before in overtime with the Jaguars. So they've been a really up and down team at 2-7. I want to go ahead and tell you guys that Dallas can lose this game. There is a way for Dallas to lose. I'm not saying that this is an easy victory, but this is one you got to get past. If Dallas loses this one, the playoffs are completely out of reach because Dallas still got to play the Lions and the Chargers and the Bears and no, I'm just kidding. They still play the Lions and the Chargers and some really good teams, the Eagles as well after this one. So you got to beat a bad Raiders team if you want a chance at the playoffs. Look better on defense. Hopefully they figured out some stuff over the bye week and they can do that. But the Raiders, with Pete Carroll, with Ashton Jeanty and Geno Smith, they're going to try to be physical. They're going to try to run downhill, run down your throat. They're going to use play action, bootlegs, deep crossers. They're going to try to get Brock Bowers involved. He is an absolute monster. I feel better with Overshown and Wilson, but I think there's still going to be moments where Kenneth Murray and Shamar James have to deal with Brock Bowers, and that really, really concerns me. The Raiders are made up of 2 people. On the defensive side of the ball, you have Max Crosby. On the offensive side of the ball, you have Brock Bowers, who is disgusting. Brock Bowers is coming off a knee injury, hasn't been as great this year, but he's been fantastic. Every time he's put on the field, super, super dominant. Let's look at the game logs. In the games that he's played this year, he's played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's had 5 catches on 8 targets, 103. 5 for 8 for 38. 4 for 5 for 38. 5 for 6 for 46. 12 for 13 for 127. And then against the Broncos, 1 for 3 for 31 yards. There's a likelihood that he's gonna get his in this game. You have to stop the explosive plays. Cannot let Brock Bowers beat you. There's definitely a chance that they let that happen if Kenneth Murray is given the assignment to get Bowers and try to cover the middle of the field, and they're hitting deep seam balls with Geno Smith. The quarterback play with Geno has been really volatile this year. He's had some really good throws, and he's had some really, really rough lowlights as well. Cowboys defense is a post-trade one, so I honestly don't really even know how to talk about them because I have hope that the defense is going to be better, but I don't know how to talk about them with adding those pieces. What are they going to do? Is Logan Wilson going to get 65 snaps and Kenneth Murray comes off the field, or is Logan Wilson going to get 30 snaps and they're kind of rotating them back and forth? What are they going to do? So it's hard for me to kind of contextualize what I expect this game to look like. I do know that the Cowboys offense should put up 30 points. That they should be able to do that. Cowboys defense needs to limit the Raiders to under 30 points. Against bad defenses, the Raiders offenses look pretty good. You can't let Ashton Jeanty hit big plays, Brock Bowers hit big plays, because that is where they'll kill you. I feel better with Williams and Wilson and Overshown if he gets in there, but it's still just, I'm not sure it's enough to slow this down as far as how bad the Cowboys defense is. But that's all I got really with the matchups, with the Cowboys game against the Raiders. Some key matchups from that one. Obviously, Max Crosby against the offensive line. They're going to be moving him around. They're going to try to get pressure. get the ball out quick. Quinnen Williams against that Raiders interior. The Raiders do have a couple of injuries on the interior offensive line. They've been struggling this year. The offensive line has not been good. You need Quinnen Williams to come in and be the game record that Dallas gave up a second and a first for. A 2026 second-round pick and a 2027 first-round pick. He has to be a difference maker. Ceedee Lamb against the Raiders secondary, along with George Pickens. There's money to be made. Move him around, move him across the formation, motion, stacks, jet action. This is a chance to take advantage of that mismatch and then maybe hit a couple plays over the top, hit a post route to George Pickens, get some big plays on offense, limit the big plays on defense. Cannot let the Raiders score quickly. Can't do it. So that's all I got for you guys today on the Landry Hat podcast. Sorry if I sound a little nasally. I am a little sick. I think I'm coming down with a cold. It's been really cold here in North Carolina. But I had to get the video out, talk to you guys here on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of that stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. And please like, subscribe, add the podcast wherever you're listening. I love you all, and I'll see you next time.